They told me she was a gift. But the moment I saw the way her guards watched her, I knew I hadn't been.
The sky above New Geneva had turned the color of bruised copper the night they brought her to my door. I had not asked for a bride. I had barely asked for breakfast most mornings, let alone a wife from another world. But the Interplanetary Council did not deal in preferences. They dealt in treaties, and I, Marcus Vallon, minor diplomat of no particular importance, had become the signature line on one of the strangest agreements in human history. "She is a gift," said the council's envoy, a thin man named Reeves who always smelled of recycled air. "A gesture of goodwill from the Velhari Dominion. You will treat her with respect and document your interactions weekly." He said it the way a man drops off a houseplant. Then the transport door opened, and I understood immediately that no one had told me the truth. She stepped out wearing traveling clothes, plain by any standard. A dark cloak, simple boots, no jewelry. And yet the two Velhari attendants flanking her moved like shadows trained to orbit a sun. Their eyes never left her. Their hands never left the handles of weapons I couldn't name. One of them, the taller one, saw me staring and gave me a look so cold it left a bruise somewhere behind my sternum. Her name, Reeves told me as she descended the ramp, was Sera. Just Sera. No family name given. She was tall, nearly my height, with silver-threaded hair that moved as though slightly out of phase with gravity, and eyes the deep amber of old honey lit from the inside. She looked around my apartment building with the calm, measuring expression of someone accustomed to appraising things, territories, perhaps, or people. She looked at me last. "You are Marcus," she said. Not a question. "I am," I said. "Welcome to Earth. I'm sorry about the weather." She tilted her head slightly. "The weather does not concern me." Reeves handed me a tablet with 47 pages of behavioral guidelines and left before I could ask a single question. The first week was an education. She woke before dawn and stood on my rooftop terrace for exactly 1 hour, watching the city the way a general watches a battlefield, not afraid of it, simply learning it. She ate what I cooked without complaint but asked, on the third morning, whether I always burned the edges of my eggs. I said I did not. She said the evidence suggested otherwise. I started to understand that Sera was not what the council had presented. A diplomatic gift, they had called her. A cultural exchange. She did not behave like someone given away. She behaved like someone who had chosen to be somewhere for reasons she had not yet seen fit to share. I asked her on the 5th day, carefully, what she did back home. "I managed things," she said. "What kind of things?" "Large things." The attendants, whose names I eventually learned were Davin and Sela, never relaxed. They slept in shifts. They mapped my apartment on their first day, and I found, 2 weeks in, that they had quietly reinforced the window locks without being asked. They were not bodyguards for a diplomat's gift. I knew it by then, but I did not know what to do with the knowing. The answer came in the 4th week, when 3 men in unmarked coats arrived at my building at midnight. I was asleep. I heard nothing until I didn't. A silence, so complete it woke me the way a sound would. I stepped into the hallway and found Davin and Sela already positioned, one at each end of the corridor, weapons drawn with the efficiency of people who had done this 10,000 times. Sera stood between them in the dark, perfectly still. She was not afraid. That was the first thing. The second thing was the way she held herself, spine straight, chin level, both hands loose at her sides, not braced for violence, but presiding over it. It lasted 4 minutes. I don't know what happened exactly, because Davin moved me back behind the bedroom door before anything began. But when it was over, Sera came to knock on my door herself. "You should know," she said quietly, "that there may be further attempts." "Attempts at what?" I asked. She was quiet for a moment. "Then, my life." I apologize for the disruption to yours. I stared at her.
Sera.
Who are you? She looked at me with those amber eyes, and for the first time since she had arrived, something shifted behind them. Not vulnerability, exactly. More like a decision being made. I am the 34th Velhari, she said. Sovereign of the Six Reaches. What your people would call a queen. I sat down on the hallway floor, which was undignified but felt appropriate. They told me you were a gift, I said. I chose this arrangement, she replied. My throne was temporarily unsafe. Your planet was the one place my enemies would not think to look for me, because no one would believe I had come here willingly. As a bride. As a visitor with cover. The bride story was your council's addition. They were... She paused, the closest thing to discomfort I had ever seen cross her face, enthusiastic about the symbolism. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out slightly broken. So, you are not here to marry me. No, she said. Then, after a pause, though you have been considerably kinder than I expected. You expected badly? I expected indifference, she said, which is its own kind of unkind. She stayed 3 more weeks. In that time I learned that she spoke 7 languages fluently and 2 others badly, that she had strong opinions about chess and stronger ones about justice, that she had given up a war to come here and was waiting for the right moment to go back and finish ending it on her own terms. On her last morning, she stood on the rooftop terrace again as the city lit up below. Will your throne be safe? I asked. It will be mine, she said. That is what matters. There's a difference. She looked at me, that measuring, amber look. Yes, she said. There is. You understand more than most. Davin and Sela loaded the transport. Sera turned to leave, then stopped. Marcus. Yes. If you ever require a place that is safe, she said, and entirely unexpected, my world is not so different from yours, in the ways that matter. Then she walked down the ramp, boarded the transport, and the copper sky swallowed her whole. Reeve sent me a message the next day asking for my first weekly report. I wrote 3 words. She was extraordinary. He replied asking me to be more specific. I did not write back.